Hey, what's up, traders? It's July 26, 2020, and this is our weekly outlook video for the week, man. The weekend goes by so fast, dude. It's crazy. So I'm out here on my back porch. It's a big rainstorm right now, so hopefully you can hear me okay. So the market's open in a few hours. Right now, we're running 70% off. We've been running it for a while since the start of this epidemic to try to help people, be able to afford to learn a new skill from home, learn how to trade, and make it available to everybody. But we're running this special for a super long time, and I can't afford to keep it this low. So anyways, by the end of the day today, this special ends. So take advantage of it while you can. You can get full access to my training, my signals channel, everything for $200. At the end of the day, it goes up to its normal price, which is $399, which is still discounted. So I'm trying to help you out as much as I can. But take advantage of it now while you can. Man, this is going to be a big week, and I'm really hoping more than anything that we see some dollar strength, because I've been talking about this. I was talking about it last week. The dollar just got ran over last week, and euro is in a huge short squeeze situation, which what I mean by that is if you're short, you're probably feeling like you're getting squeezed a little bit by the euro, right? So that's happening. We're at a significant area on the dollar index. So let me pull up my charts here on the dollar index. I want to look at dollar pairs and really looking for a dip of some sort to really buy into this dollar weakness that's coming in. And this could be full on. This could last for a while, right? So especially in the pound, it didn't really take off like the euro did, which is kind of leading me to think maybe it's going to be the second place after following the euro. So at the end of the day on Friday, we're in still in euro pound short here, because I think that the euro, based on where it is going to start to kind of struggle because of the degree of how overbought it is. Here's the dollar index, and so this is very significant. I pointed this out last week. This is the 61.8% retracement. So we can go from, on a weekly chart from the low here, this is inverted head and shoulders. From the low, this is the massive range we were in last year, from the low to the high. And then, and this high was a spike from COVID and whatever's going on here. And I pointed out that I was targeting a breakdown here, targeting this 61.8% retracement. And what I'm really hoping for is a bit of a bounce here off this 61.8. I do think we're going to move lower. We have the Fed meeting this week on Wednesday. That's going to be very big. We have a GDP report, I believe, on Thursday, which is going to talk about, really what it's going to show is the degree of loss that happened following the following this virus. So but really after following this breakdown here, this is on weekly chart, keep that in mind. I would love to see a bounce here in the dollar before we move lower towards this 91 area, which is 78.6% retracement. So totally, I think it is doable. Just the question is, what's going to be the catalyst? What's going to be the catalyst that would strengthen the dollar is what you need to ask yourself. So I'm glad you asked. Let me get into what I think it would be. So here we are at the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq looks pretty bearish, right? Here's the weekly chart. We see this massive divergence here. Here we are on the daily, right? And we have a shooting star here, which is a pretty decent sign of a reversal. And this looks like a potential double top setting up. So, but keep in mind, this is the U.S. stock market we're talking about. So, we could be pushing up all new highs pretty quickly. But if we do start to get some sort of sell-off here, I think that would be a great catalyst that would potentially at least let the dollar bounce a bit. And that's definitely what we're looking for. So, this looks this looks like a pretty bearish setup right now. Let's take a look at some of the other indexes, and you can see, you know, we didn't make that new high in the S&P, right? We are in a breakout situation, but however, if we were to break back inside here and had a false breakout, if this is a false breakout, if you're in my course, you know a false breakout typically leads to a breakdown, and I think that's what we would have on the S&P. Now we look at the Dow Jones. Dow Jones never quite. We pretty much have a little false breakout here, depending on where you want to chart your trend lines, or we just have a retest here, but we never made that move. I was looking for that move last week. It never materialized. So, you know, if we start to really sell off here and break through these trend lines, this could be the thing that would give the dollar enough juice to where we could get dips in euro. Once we get this dip, looking at it as a buying opportunity. Now, if we go to weekly chart, we can see these this trend line here. This is a big multi-year trend line dating back to 2010. Touch, 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 and where are we now? We're touching it again. You know, we're retesting this massive resistance level, and you know, you can see we're not quite on the weekly chart into overbought territory, but if we have a look at the daily, you know, once we start hitting these levels up here, you can see that, you know, we at least got a bit of a retest, or, you know, some dipping action. So, you know, we're at 116.50 now. A dip to 115, God, I hope that happens. I don't know if it will. We might be looking at 115.50, but this is going to, you know, be patient this week. This is going to create a great buying opportunity against the dollar. The pound, we're in breakout mode. Now we're looking at the high from this big double top, which happened in at the end of 2017, 2018. I remember this very vividly for sure. And then just massive sell-off since then, right? We tried to rebound here. We beat these highs, but then sold off again. And of course, this was the coronavirus hysteria that happened back in February. But now, if we go to see where we are now, this is that top of the trend line, which should come in around 131. I'm looking for some sort of dip here, which would create a buying opportunity, and to really get aggressively long here on GBPUSD. So I was waiting for this on Friday, and we got this dip here, but I was like, man, that was a pretty shallow retracement. So I waited and, you know, kind of missed the opportunity. So you can see we're divergent on the 4-hour RSI. Daily is just now starting to challenge the overbought area. So, you know, the pound still has room to run. So this is why my, you know, idea that, you know, we could see some strength out of the pound while euro is already so extremely overextended. Maybe it'll be the time for euro pound to step up, right? And especially when it comes to euro pound, right? Because maybe if we get a move lower in euro, right, a retracement, which will open the door with the euro pound, you can see this heavy resistance that we're hitting here. Here we are on the 4-hour. This is what it looks like, you know, which could give us a dip back to the 38.2% retracement, which come in at you know, 9,000 or potentially even lower. So this looks like it could be a pretty good opportunity here. And, you know, taking that across the board, if the pound does strengthen, I've also got my eyes on GJ. I think GJ could be you could see this big rally that happened on Friday. You know, I don't see any reason why we don't continue and move higher. Now, if the indices start to sell off a bit, you know, that should create enough risk off appetite that would strengthen the yen, right? So maybe we get a bit of a dip lower. Definitely we'll have to wait and see. So for instance, if we're looking at euro yen here, we had this big retest right here of these former highs, a breakdown, and then this is that massive rally in the euro that happened Friday. So, you know, we're retesting the backside of this, what was a throwover line. So this is the yen pairs, I think, are going to be very important to pay attention to this week, depending on the level of risk appetite in the market. So having a look at Aussie's broken out, but it really kind of is struggling right up here. You know, we have a bit of a overbought action. So, you know, if we were to break back below here, that'd be a big false breakout. So Aussie's one to watch here. So if we do start to dip, it's going to be interesting to see how these these pairs play out. So you can see Kiwi NZDUSD tapped a 61.8% retracement and is really struggling here. We have some nice dojis stacked up on top of each other. That's a pretty big reversal sign. So maybe we'll get a dip here. So if we do, I think it's going to be a great buying opportunity as long as we stay above this the backside of this trend line. So this is going to be pretty big for the dollar. This week's going to be huge for it. You know, or maybe it keeps breaking down. So here we are with US dollar Canadian, and you know, we potentially could be looking at a false breakdown here because we did break down below this level, and it looks like we have a bit of a retest. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, especially in regards to Canadian dollar against the US dollar, depending on if we strengthen. Big sell-off here in dollar Swiss. We had some big, look at this level of support here. So where this has been in the past, you know, I wouldn't be surprised to see a bounce here. And I know I'm not saying continued dollar strength. I'm talking about a bounce. But if we go to the weekly chart, just look at this historically, going back to 2015, June, when we've hit these levels, typically we've got a bounce. So, you know, it's pretty good risk to reward here. The question is what's going to happen with the dollar. So that's what it's going to be, us definitely in the VIP group, what I'm going to be looking at. Also, another situation I've got my eye on is this false breakdown on GBPAUD, right? So, man, hoping for some sort of dip here, but you can see we have a false breakdown below this trend line, which could be the signal for the start of a rally. So if the pound does start to really strengthen, dude, this could rip higher. And, you know, look how far big this decline has been. So this is a huge opportunity here in GBPAUD. But the most important thing is really just trying to stick this entry and hope that we get to get a good enough dip, which would provide an entry. So, you know, right here, 1.7930 roughly would be a retest of this trend line. So if that held, it's going to be a great place to load up on pounds versus the Aussie. So remember, Aussie struggling, pound has all these kind of like openings. So look at how this RSI is looking pretty bullish. So I'm going to be watching GBPAUD super closely for some sort of opportunity. And you could also translate that to pound Swiss. Look at this, isn't necessarily my favorite pair, that's for sure. Pretty tricky, but you know, these are some pretty all-time lows here that we're at. So if the pound decided to really just look, when the pound starts to rip, it's like no other currency out there. So don't forget that. And it's a double-edged sword. So be careful. But that being said, this could provide a pretty good potential buying opportunity for the pound against the Swiss, especially if we see the dollar, US dollar Swiss, start to bounce. So, you know, maybe look at pound Swiss as another play and a correlation off that. So it's going to be a huge week this week, man. So trade, be careful out there. You know, don't go too big. Be patient. See what happens with the dollar and really try to get into where you can position yourself in these dips and scenarios that's going to allow you for, you know, better positioning for long-term holds. And that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. And especially versus the metals too. You know, I got to bring this into play, dude, just hoping for some sort of dip here against gold, right? Gold and silver was the pretty much star performer last week. Look how overbought we are. Let me pull. Sorry, I stopped sharing my screen. Look how overbought we are across the board weekly. Not quite there in the monthly, but you know, it looks like potentially be topping here. But at the same time, don't get your hopes up. But as far as this, I am hoping for a dip, you know, back to this breakout point. It seems rather unlikely, but if we make it there, God, it's going to be a huge buying opportunity. I'm telling you, and I've been talking about this move for like 6 months now, since this happened, and back in January or February, and so here we are, false breakdown, and we're ripping higher now. So I'm hoping for a move lower, hoping for some dollar strength, and which will create a great buying opportunity against the metals if it happens. So, but don't, be very careful if you're like trying to short it up here, because man, that jumping in front of these metal trains with the Fed, the amount of inflation going on, what's happening with the coronavirus, like there's so many factors that are positive for investors to buy precious metals that it could rally another 200 pips like that. So be super, super prudent if you are looking to short the metals. Don't go all in. So that being said, hope you found this video helpful. I appreciate the support. Everybody in the VIP group, y'all are the best, man. And y'all are the reason why I keep doing this. So that being said, click the link below to get started. If you want to go through my training, go get our trade set, daily trade alerts and setups, and also be a part of our amazing community of traders. Click the link below to get started, or the link in my bio, and let's crush the markets this week, everybody. I'll see you in the VIP chat room. Peace.